Have you ever worried about something as little as basic tap water? Now imagine that same water is slowly poisoning your family, and experts tell you that water is safe. This is the Flint water crisis. As many people know, the Flint water crisis in Flint, Michigan exposed thousands of people to dangerous levels of lead. While mistakes by the government played a role, I believe the real failure came from the experts working for Viola North America, whose purpose was to protect public safety. The Flint water crisis, occurring in Flint, Michigan, took place in 2014 when Flint switched its water source to the Flint River in order to save money. According to the document from nrdc.com, this source states that right after the switch in water, treatment and testing of the water followed, resulting in a series of major water quality and health issues for Flint residents, issues that were ignored and overlooked. Later studies would reveal that the contaminated water was also contributing to a doubling, and in some cases tripling, of the incidence of elevated lead levels in the city's children, imperiling the health of its youngest generation. With the mismanagement of drinking water, it forced a reckoning over how such a scandal could have even been allowed to happen. Speaking on the indication of the dangerous levels of lead in the water at residents' homes, lead consumption can affect the heart, kidneys, and nerves. For over 100 years before the crisis, the Flint River had basically been used as a dumping place for waste from nearby factories, including car plants and paper mills. Sources say, in the mid-20th century, Flint, the birthplace of General Motors, was the flourishing home of nearly 200,000 people. But the 1980s put the brakes on that period of prosperity, as rising oil prices and auto imports resulted in shuttered auto plants and laid-off workers, many of whom eventually relocated. After the experience in the 1980s, everything fell off from then. In 2011, Flint experienced a $25 million deficit. Michigan Governor Rick Snyder appointed an emergency manager to oversee and cut city costs. Only 2 years after this led to the bad decision in 2013 to stop using clean water from Detroit and instead use cheaper water from the Flint River while waiting for a new pipeline from Lake Huron. Even though the river water was very harsh and could damage pipes, officials did not treat it properly, so lead leaked from old pipes into thousands of homes. Also, another effect during the Flint water crisis, changes in the water system helped create conditions where Legionella bacteria could grow, leading to an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease, which killed 12 people and sickened at least 87 people between June 2014 and October 2015. This was the third largest outbreak of Legionnaire's disease recorded in U.S. history. To understand this subject more clearly, we need to know the understanding of orthophosphate. Orthophosphate helps lead and some other metal pipes from corroding by forming a compound that makes a sort of protective layer on the inside of the pipe. Now understanding this, Flint did not add any orthophosphate or any sort of anti-corrosion chemicals when switching to Flint River water. Viola North America reviewed Flint's water system, but did not clearly insist on adding orthophosphate, a chemical that prevents lead from leaking out of pipes. Without this treatment, the corrosive river water caused lead to enter the drinking supply. Because they were trusted experts, their failure to strongly recommend this step helped allow the contamination to continue. As I mentioned before, Viola North America was brought in as an expert to review Flint's water system and help protect public safety. However, they did not clearly warn about the serious risk of lead contamination from the untreated water. They also failed to strongly push for adding orthophosphate, which could have helped prevent lead from leaking out of old pipes. Because of this, the dangerous water continued to be used and exposed residents to harm. As a trusted expert, their failure to act more strongly makes them partly responsible for the crisis. While I do strongly believe that Viola North America was to blame, the government also had the authority and responsibility to make sure proper water treatment, like adding corrosion control, was being used. They were in charge of monitoring water safety and responding to complaints from residents and experts. With the power to enforce regulations and make final decisions, they had the ability to prevent the problem if they had acted sooner.